Well, good evening, Facebook family. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Mondays with Nick and Trina Brinson.
You gonna put Trina Brinson in the picture?
My boo getting in the picture right there. We're always going fidgeting with the technology to make it better, but it is what it is. We just want to thank y'all for coming in with us tonight. And this is our last episode of the year, right?
It is.
Excuse me. And we're so excited with this last episode, and we feel like we got some good information to give to you tonight that will help your relationships get better, or to just work out some issues that you may be having, or just to continue on, and so you can build and make your relationship the best relationship that you can make yours. So with that said, you got anything you want to say?
You can keep it going.
All right. So with that said, we came in a little later than we normally have, the last couple of times, but we're here and we're on assignment. So we're here to do what thus says the Lord, and how He wants us to bring it to you. That's what we're gonna do. So tonight, our major topic that we're gonna talk about, but we got to give homage to the people that allow us to do this. Our bishop and our first lady, Finance Bush Jr. and Lady Denise Bush, as we continue to give them the honor that they deserve and what we're doing here, because we're all on assignment to do this for Crown Kingdom Cultural Center, to make it where we have with the church family and with our Facebook family, as we adjust the thing. So with that said, tonight's episode is why couples don't ask for help. Why don't they ask for help? What's some of the reasons couples don't get help for some of the issues they have?
Well, the first thing I think of is some people are embarrassed or ashamed to ask for help. Just in American culture, very often people feel like asking for help is a sign of weakness, or that they don't want to come off to someone else as needing help. Although we all know that everybody needs help, at various points throughout life, and that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of needing your fellow man. I mean, it's not such a negative thing as it comes across sometimes. Some people really perceive it as something negative to ask for help, but I appreciate when people are there to help me, because I can't figure it all out for myself. And just like we talked about last week when we were talking about taking the lid off, sometimes between the two of you just don't have all the answers between the two of you. So to ask for help is you acknowledging that someone else might have something of value to add to you. And so that's the first thing I think of. I think a lot of people hesitate because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to share, something that's difficult. And I guess it can also be interpreted as pride.
Yeah.
They're embarrassed, or why, I don't know, because anybody that's in a marriage has had some rough spots.
But they may not know that. They may be going through it by themselves. And see, that's one of the lessons we learned in counseling, is that for the most part, you're never going through anything by yourself. Somebody has been through or going through what you're experiencing in your marriage. No, it's not new to people that have been married for an extended amount of time. Also, people get ashamed and embarrassed about actually putting their information out. So, you don't want everybody to know your information, but there comes a time where if you're going to help this situation, your marriage, you're going to have to talk to somebody about what you're going through. The embarrassment comes by you're not in the mindset to think that I'm going to be embarrassed by this, so I don't want anybody to know what we're going through. Let somebody know that you trust. That's why we always say get marriage mentors. So you can go to those people and basically say what you need to say to them without the fear of the information that you're giving them is going to get out.
Right.
It got to be somebody that you trust, somebody
Right.
that you believe in, somebody probably done been through this thing, been in it, not been through, but been in it a lot longer than you. So when you're having these problems, go to somebody that's been in it a little bit longer.
Yeah, that really is key, to have somebody you trust and someone who will keep your private information private. You know, if you know that someone has a reputation for spreading other people's business, then that might not be a good person for you to confide in. You want to choose someone who's trustworthy and someone who will respect your privacy and will help give you information. Somebody who's for you. And so you may have to be wise in making that choice. It may be, you know, a spiritual mentor, your pastor, or someone on your church leadership team that's assigned to work with couples or to advise others. That might be someone that you consider trustworthy. If you trust that person, not just their assignment, but if you also trust that person to respect your privacy and not to put your business out there for other people to judge or have knowledge of, because it's still yours. It's your information, your business. Sometimes family members, you got to be very careful about which family members that you can truly trust. Your mama might not be the best person for you to go to for marriage advice, particularly if your mama not married, or if your mama has had marriage problems herself that have been unresolved and she hasn't had healthy relationships. So it's important for you to be wise about who you share your information with. If you go to a professional, then they are ethically required as a professional to respect your privacy, and there are heavy fines for violating that. So that's the first reason we want to make you aware of, is that shame or embarrassment can prevent people from asking for help, but we encourage you to move past that, not to let that be an obstacle from you figuring out how to get the lid off, so to speak, or how to access the best parts of your marriage.
Another point that we came up with in this particular topic is misunderstood religious beliefs.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Misunderstood religious beliefs. You can get so involved in your religion that when you have a situation in your marriage, you don't think anybody that's outside of your faith can help you. Sometimes you may have to go outside because you may not have a pastor that understands your situation. You may have
Is it going outside of your faith though?
I mean, you know, outside of the realm of your church.
Circle, yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I just didn't want to give the wrong impression. Because you do want to get godly counsel. That's critical. And so you don't want to just take a chance on going to somebody professionally and they have totally different moral values than what the two of you hold within your marriage, or within your they give you advice that's not consistent with your faith and your religious beliefs. So some people are afraid to even try to consider counseling or being advised because they seem to think that it violates something religiously. I've heard it a lot within the religious community. There's this sort of stigma for, well, if you go get counsel, you must not trust God. And that that doesn't add up, because the Bible tells us that there's safety in counsel, and it tells us not to walk in ungodly counsel. So the flip side of that is that you walk in godly counsel. You know, we hear the story of Moses in the Bible where he spent all day counseling people. So it's not outside of, in fact, it is in line with our Christian beliefs that we should seek godly counsel. And so you don't have all the answers yourself. You don't know everything about the Bible. You don't know everything about yourself or everything about your spouse. And so seeking godly counsel allows you to invite God into that situation through someone who God has given more wisdom than what you might have, more insight than what you might have. So once again, you want to make sure you're choosing someone who can give you godly counsel, and that's not going to give you counsel towards worldly ways or secular thoughts and processes and methods. You want to stay in line with what clicks or what is consistent with righteousness.
All right. Another point. This one here is one I've heard, over the years, and it comes from a male point of view, and that's the only way I can speak on it. Really, is in order to go in to seek counseling or going to get counseling, some men have a tendency to not want to be blamed for what's going on in the relationship or the dysfunction of the relationship. So that's why they don't ask for help, because I'm not going to be the reason this marriage is not working, or I'm not going to be the reason why we can't seem to get it together. But you'll stay in that state and don't get any help because obviously something is going on. You don't understand what's going on, but you're going to stay in that state because you just don't know. And you don't want to be blamed for it. And when I say you don't want to be blamed, that's a tactic of fear. That's fear right there. Because if you got courage, you got to have enough courage to go see somebody and say, okay, what I'm doing may be the reason why this marriage is not working, and get ready to face what you got to do to change it.
It makes me think about ignorance. We talked about personal ignorance a while back. And I think sometimes when people are afraid to go to counseling, they are choosing to remain ignorant, which is a lack of knowledge. Not, calling nobody stupid or anything, but I am saying that you may be ignorant in your situation, ignorant of, your personal strengths and weaknesses. And so having someone from the outside who is objective is very helpful in giving you some understanding about yourself as well as about your situation. It's not even the counselor's job to say you're right and you're wrong. That's not really what counselors do. That's not what I understand counselors to do. That's not been experiences that we've had. It's always getting us to think about our situation from a different perspective, getting us to examine our own behaviors and to consider some solutions. So it's not really about placing blame. It's about getting to a place of agreement and about finding solutions. And so I personally think that counseling, particularly professional counseling, is extremely helpful in that way.
And that's, there's not a price you could put on a good counselor to help you navigate those waters that you may not know how to swim in. You just get to the point where I think for me, I didn't have that issue with going to see a counselor. It was, I don't want to see a counselor, and I'm not going to see a counselor. And I call that just being mannish, because that's such an ignorant train of thought that I had all the answers to this relationship when I didn't have very many. So, you get to the point where if you're willing to go the distance and change it, you got to go and face that, maybe I don't have the answers. Maybe I'm not that knight in shining armor that Trina fell in love with. So, and I had to go through those times to help me figure out what I need to do in this relationship in order to try to make it work. And, those changes have actually helped me and helped us. Because I was not the only one in the counseling session. She was too.
So that brings us to our next point. So what happens when one person refuses to go to counseling and the other wants to go to counseling? Because that's an obstacle.
It is.
That I know we've heard a lot through the years from couples, is that, one wants it and the other does not. So how do people deal with that? Because that's a real obstacle.
Well, we've always talked about, in your marriage, there's a certain amount of self-improvement. You can always go get the knowledge, excuse me, and do what needs to be done
individually.
Excuse me.
I think if I can speak for you a little bit. Yeah, let's just get you for a little bit. Trying to see our refrigerator. All right, so I think why he trying to save his own life. He's so silly. So I think what we're saying is that even if your spouse does not want to go to therapy, you can recognize that the marriage is made up of two people. And even whether you go to therapy together or if you choose to get therapy for yourself, you got to recognize that you're not necessarily going for marriage counseling. You would be going for just kind of self-help therapy for yourself. Because if the marriage works out, that's great. If the marriage does not work out, at a minimum, you are a better person. You found a way to be a better you. And so what we have always told people, it's always best for the two of you to go to counseling together, to get the same information, to both be working towards making the marriage improve. But if your spouse is not to that point and will not agree to go to therapy, there's not much you can personally do about that other than for you to pray for God to give some insight to help you all get to a better place. But if you still desire to at least go see what you can do to make yourself better, it's actually amazing how much one person can change even the environment of a home. Not saying that you're to blame, but when you enjoy yourself better, when you're better and stronger in those areas that are weaknesses for you, it does have an effect on the people around you. You do have the option of going to counseling for yourself to see what you can do to improve your situation. If you're in a marriage that you feel is making you feel miserable or unhappy or whatever, then you can go see what your part is that you can do for yourself to make yourself a better person. And sometimes that in turn can help make the marriage better. The weight is not on one person, and marriage counseling does require two people. So I just want to be clear on that. But I mean, you definitely have that option to work on yourself, because if both of you are miserable in the marriage, it doesn't stop you from trying to get to a better position yourself. And then sometimes you can even see the marriage situation more clearly once you've dealt with some of your own individual issues. So that's what we talked about before he started choking. So you get yourself together. You ready? All right, I think he's better. He'll live. All right, another issue something that prevents people, and this is such a real issue and it's a legitimate issue, but you can't allow anything to stop you from doing what you need to do. Your marriage has to be a priority. And that's the issue of time. I mean, we certainly understand that time can be short. It can be a challenge to make time to go sit down and have therapy. But in all honesty, what is more important in your marriage?
Nothing.
You're going to be hard pressed to really find what is more important to your marriage. Everything in your life is affected by the quality of your marriage relationship. And so if you are saying you don't have time, you really got to sit down and make time. It really can't be optional. You have to have time to work on your marriage. That's why we always encourage, date nights. We encourage joint planning for you to sit down and have some planning sessions together. You have to make time for your marriage, because if you don't, it's that, what's that saying? You plan to fail, or if you fail to plan,
you plan to fail.
You plan to fail, and that's very true in marriage as well. You have to assign time for you to focus on your marriage.
And that's one of the better points of this, because that's one thing you can't ever get back, that time together, that time to learn how to just improve what you got going on between you two. And if you don't want to make trying to improve your marriage relationship, then it's you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
You're wasting the other person's time.
You don't have time to be married if you don't have time to work on your marriage.
Right.
You probably should have rethought that from the beginning, because when you make the commitment to get married, you are making a huge commitment of time and effort to keep your marriage and to build a good marriage, because good marriages don't just happen. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes prioritizing your relationship. If you find anybody who's been married for any length of time and they're still happy in their marriage, you will find that they prioritize their marriage.
They did. Absolutely.
So you have to have time. If you get 24 hours in a day, how you choose to spend them should be based upon what your priorities are. You got to make time for it. What else you got?
I think that's it.
Really?
We made several points tonight. Yeah.
That's the fastest we ever finished. 24 minutes.
It sure is.
Well, it's been a good year. We have tried to offer to you all a wealth of, or variety of information. We hope that we have been able to spark some interest and kind of put a fire up under you in respect for your marriage. We really haven't been here to preach to you. That's not really our assignment.
No.
We're here to encourage and to evoke some thought in you and to inspire you to make your marriages better, because marriage is something that God established, and He expects for marriages to be a reflection of Christ's relationship with the church.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's a pretty big assignment that you take on when you choose to be married. So we just want to be a part. We know that that's no small feat. And so we're here to encourage you, to inspire you, and hopefully we've done that this year. These Facebook Lives are out there online on this, at this location, at this, our church, the Crown Kingdom Cultural Center Facebook page. And we encourage you to go back and look at some of the old lessons, and just see if you haven't been with us every step of the way this year, go back and listen to some of those old lessons, even if you have. See how they apply to you, how you can constantly stay on top of making your marriage a priority and making it better, making your marriage a place that reflects the glory of God and that gives peace.
Right.
Your marriage should be a place of peace.
And just through these lessons and all the guests we've had on this year, the marriage conference, it to me, it takes away a lot of the excuses of not want to be together. Takes away a lot of the excuses of why we need to get a divorce. There are those things out there that happen where divorce may be the best choice for you. But if you're just having everyday, disagreements and trying to figure out what to do next, a lot of these videos can help you take whatever that next is for you. Yeah. Some people are in different places with what comes next in their marriage relationship, or what have we done here, so how do we get over what's facing us right now. Right. We've done a lot of videos and the thing about it is we come up with the information that's been given to us by God, but guess what, the information that we give y'all, I go back and listen to make sure what I'm doing is correct for her. And I'm sure, the information that we give here helps her do some, helps the relationship with me. Mm-hmm. So it's just not for, we giving the information, but we're also learning it as we're giving it. And because of human nature, we may revert back to some behaviors that we need to be trained on again, and we go back to these videos. Yeah. So it's not like we giving you this and we don't live it. We giving you this and we don't ever go through anything.
Yeah, we have the same struggles.
Same struggle, same thing. But I can tell you this, what we have done this year has made our relationship better. Mm-hmm. You know, the information that we've heard, the information that we've researched, the information that has just been given us by God to give you has helped us. And that's one thing we can give. That's cliches, but that's our gift to you in this Christmas season. And there's nothing more than giving the gift of life. Because I think if your marriage survives the ups and downs, that's the gift that keeps on giving. You know, I don't want to sound, like
a Hallmark.
Yeah, like a Hallmark. Yeah, that's it.
You do.
I
But
did.
it's okay.
Thank you. But we just keeps on giving throughout the year. Just go back and look at some of the videos. We're not at this point where your views is monetary to us. This is all God's business. This is God's information. This is straight from our heart to you every Monday night. So we just want to thank y'all for joining in and just letting us be a part of your world.
Yeah, and we thank you for your comments. I see a few things that have popped my phone, kind of doing something crazy, but I do see some comments where you guys are expressing some appreciation, and we appreciate that too. So, just as always, we ask you to share this with other people. And people need support in marriage. Marriage can be tough until you learn how to make it easier. Till you get to that point, it does get to a point to where it becomes a whole lot easier. But you got to get through the rough parts. There's no easy way around it. You have to get through those tough parts through that process of two becoming one. So,
Yep.
but we appreciate y'all. We pray that y'all have a wonderful holiday season. I hope y'all get some rest, because I will be getting rest. It's gonna happen. And we're just gonna enjoy family and just remember to honor God in the midst of all this chaos that's going on. And we look forward to seeing you all in the new year.
January 3rd.
Yeah, we'll be back at the top of the year.
January the 3rd.
Yeah, so we'll keep doing what we're doing until we get an assignment to do something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, from the lady and the coach, we want to wish y'all a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We love y'all. Good night.
It's up.